Hey everyone, and welcome to Master Site. Today we're going to kick off our Masters 2024 series with Game 1, where I have a face-off against Bruce Monach and his Undead. So let's go ahead, jump right into lists, and we'll go into the game. So Bruce and his Undead, he's playing pretty elite Undead. He's got 4 troops of Wraiths, 4 hordes of werewolves, horde of wights with the nimble item, army standard bearer with loot, Morgoth, and then a Rev King on flying worm with the breath weapon and brew of sharpness. Brings him out to 12 drops, 21 unit strength. Um, Definitely a very mobile list, hard hitting, but I think it's one that we play well into. His speed, everybody kind of charges into my army, so his speed isn't a huge concern. But we have a lot more drops, and we're going to be playing Dominate. So having, I believe, 7 more unit strength right out of the starting gate is a big deal. So yeah, let's go ahead, hop into the game, but feel pretty confident going into it. So here's Bruce. His wife came along with him, and she was playing in the best of the rest. So it was awesome to hear. And this is our table. So, uh, like I said, we're playing Dominate. Terrain wise, we got 2 forests on the top here, hill towards the middle, hill towards the right. Both impassables are next to each other on the right here. We got the height 1 field and the height 0 or flat water feature here. There is an obstacle here, and yes, one right here that my scarecrows will be stumbling over. Yeah, so deployment wise, Bruce puts a horde of werewolves out here, Morgoth, troop of wraiths. Then he had a pretty solid core. He had 2 troops of wraiths back to back. He had a horde of wights, another troop of wraiths with uh, werewolves here, and I believe he had his army standard bearer in this battle line. And then he finished it off with 2 more werewolves and uh, the dragon out on the right. So for me, I knew I can't let him get around on open flank, so I deployed board edge to the impassable over here. So I got Butcher, Scarecrows, Tormentors, both Mind Screeches, what's called Dreadfiend with Hex, who is going to be on Morgoth babysitting duty this game. Then I have another horde with another troop of scarecrows here. My soul flares, I believe those are the J-boot ones. Then Butcher with Horror Riftweaver, both scarecrows, 2 more soul flares. The one with only 2 guys on is going to be the Blade of Slashing. This will be my Helm of the Ram unit. And then Butcher and Horror Riftweaver here. So yeah, roll off for turn, and Bruce gets it first, and he just does some positioning. So he realizes left flank's a no-go. He starts bringing those werewolves back over. Morgoth kind of hops over behind these wraiths, and this battle line just moves up a little bit. The big movement here is he's going for the long wraparound, it appears, behind this building. But those units are very mobile, so it is still very possible that he could just turn around and come through on this edge here. Either way, I mean these 2 impassables are really key, really important for my game plan. If I deploy anything out on this side, it's just never going to get support from anything in the center. So I decided to deploy to the left of this. If he's going to come around the flank, he'll come around. I'll just devote units to that when he eventually gets there. Which, since he got first turn, it won't take him too long. So, yeah, and then he surged and pushed forward those wraiths just a little bit, and that was his turn. So, on my turn, I just push forward with everything. Except for this butcher who's going to be playing guard dog around this. I basically just don't want his dragon to be able to fly. He's slightly angled, so he could fly 20 to effectively here, and then turn and pivot towards the center of the board. Want to be able to stop that at least for him to threaten me on turn 3. So I'm going to force him to actually come around. So it'll buy me at least another turn, if not two, having this one butcher there. But yeah, like I said, he could still swing back in, so I don't want to commit too much to stopping the swing around. That is like 600 points. If he does commit this next turn, that's going to be out of the battle. So I'm just going to try to run at the rest of these units while these guys are slowly coming around and hopefully have enough stuff to just turn around and look at them. But we did Hex Morgoth this turn. We did try to shoot some lightning bolt at these wraiths, but not having any of it. Yeah, so and then I think maybe did a little wind blast. Oh yeah, I wind blasted this horde here back a little bit. Yeah, there's the hex, all that. So Bruce's turn, and I set a little trap for Bruce here. You'll notice this blank base here. These scarecrows, I don't care if they die as long as whatever killed them is something that I can just fight the next turn. So getting in, he could easily just kind of dance around, play the angles. His army's very mobile, very fast, so he doesn't have to commit. Even though it is dominate, he could just try to play around the outskirts and then jump in later in the game to avoid allowing the combats to start early. But if I kind of want him to jump in this turn if he can or if he will, because the units coming around the flank, they're not prepared yet. So if I can fight 2/3 of his force right now and then a third of it later, that's ideal for me. So. And Bruce does decide to commit this turn, which I am very happy with. Um, and yeah, so uh, I think that if I were in Bruce's shoes, I probably would have waited. It's always difficult to really judge it, but committing only a few units right now, and having a flank that you're still waiting on getting in the right position, it's one of those things where I think that flank on that unit's it's going to be there for the rest of the game. I'm never actually going to stop you from getting that, so I don't see a rush to jump into it. But he decided he wanted to pin down my hordes in the front, and then he took the flank here, as we'll see. He repositioned this horde here. And yeah, took the flank front, and then he's just positioning in such a way that things can't. So these whites are out of charge range of everything, but he left the wraiths in, and actually this unit is in range of my. I think it's just one of my soul flare units, but still, yeah. Uh, Interesting position, I would say. So Morgoth, who is hexed, just flew behind the forest. He doesn't want to get hexed for next turn. So anytime we can stop Morgoth for a turn, that's great. Drain life's going to be a pain. Other than that, I mean, Surge is fine, but his Bane chants usually don't do a whole lot to me. A lot of my stuff's defense 3, so yeah, so that's how he moves, and then he moves around to threaten, the next turn. I do have a butcher sitting right here that's going to block this unit up for at least one turn. I'm hoping maybe two, so it's just the dragon that'll be in a threatening position. Um, yeah, I don't really love this particular position on Bruce's part. I would love to have seen a position in which he could do a double charge onto the butcher the next turn if I do, go into him. That way he can guarantee to kill it because I don't think a horde of werewolves on average should kill me. It should be like 12 hits and 6 wounds. Yeah, that realistically isn't going to be near enough. So and he has inspiring for me, so you'd need a 9 twice. But yeah, anyway, going into the combats and everything. Oh, we skipped that, I guess. He killed the horde of scarecrows, but everything else stayed where it was. So this is after my movement here. So um, yeah. So on the left, we're just pushing forward. I don't care if he charges this butcher. If he does, he's hindered. So even better for me. I keep the mind screeches out of charge range of this horde. Um, yeah, and then I start moving in with this unit here with its guardians, the tormentors behind them. So we're going after the wraith troop. Realistically, it's just gotta we gotta kill them eventually, and we can't let him just be open for surge opportunities. So we gotta hit him when we can. This Ford was coming off the hill, or this butcher as well. So yeah, and this unit, I believe, is inspired. We'll see here. I think his BSB is right here, and that's just 9 inches away. So yeah, so I had the opportunity to charge the werewolves back here and chaff them up, but I decided against it. I just went with the double charge, the front flank. So again, this is how his horde ended up. So you can see there was no way for him to reposition to wheel. He could only move forward, only sidestep. He was going to be giving up a flank to this unit and a flank and a front with dread. We have really good odds to kill the unit and very likely get a waiver out of it as well. I went ahead and repositioned a couple more units for the inevitable flank coming around. So Soul Flares and or Riftweaver are looking this way. So it's just going to slow his dragon up. His dragon has the ability to come land back here and threaten this way. With for his next turn. He can't come too far in because I'll charge him. But yeah, so we're not 100% stopping him from doing his game plan. We're just delaying him from that, and I'm trying to kill everything here in front. So yeah, and then we'll notice that this Dread Fiend. I think there was a marker here somewhere. But he moved up and I had angled him, but I didn't angle him quite properly. He was just out of arc of this unit. I really wanted him to charge in and get a flank on this troop to help kill him. But I messed that up in the previous turn. So slight overlooked, poor positioning on my part from the previous turn's movement. So yeah, and then obviously we got the butcher in there. So the Helm of the Drunken Ram unit picks up this troop. We do 5 wounds in the flank with this one, but don't kill it. Even though we have Dread in range, we needed 6 twice, so it's not too bad. We did kill the Horde, however, and reformed as such, keeping everybody in our front. And yeah, and this butcher down here failed, did no wounds, whatever. But the big story is actually, we didn't take a picture of it. This unit here, it was solo against a troop of race. It did 1 wound, and then I rolled an 11 twice. even though I needed a 10 twice, but I rolled an 11 twice because it was just within inspiring from this unit here. And that is actually a very crucial development in this game because I position these guys out of 18, and you'll notice in that these guys, that was really close, and I didn't actually measure it until after I killed this unit, and he was a quarter of an inch in. So he had a very easy flank on my soul flares, and if I had seen that, I would have positioned one of these mind screeches in such a way to be able to wind blast his unit, because I only needed to wind blast him 1 inch to prevent that flank. But I almost made a crucial, potentially game losing mistake by allowing that. But because we did kill the Wraith Troop, I was able to sidestep, and that did two things for me. One, it prevented the flank charge from his unit here, and two, it did bring my horde just outside of charge range of the dragon, which I don't think he would necessarily have taken unless he could get something else in, like this horde. But it was, or I guess he could always take the lichen or the werewolves in. But yeah, that was a pretty key moment and very, very lucky, obviously, for me. Very fortunate with the dice rolls on that one. So um, always just double check your ranges. Werewolves are very fast, so um, but yeah, sometimes better lucky than good. So this is how Bruce ended up with his movement on top of 3. So he decided to take the flank. I did lightning bolt these guys, but again, is insignificant damage, maybe 2 damage or 3. But they'll be slightly injured by the time we get engaged with them. So he takes the flank there and countercharges the front of the butcher. He does put himself in a position to surge into the flank of these soul flares, and then he had charged the other lichens or werewolves into the other soul flares before countercharging into the tormentor troop. And then he repositioned his dragon to be outside of 16 inches there, so there's no charges coming in on the dragon. And he obviously countercharged the butcher. So combat wise, yeah, he got the surge. I believe he also Bane chanted, actually. I think he's Bane chanting the troop of wraiths over here to try and pump up their damage against the butcher. Speaking of butchers, he killed this one down here. He rolled extremely well, which I can't even be mad. I got very lucky just the turn before this. But he kills this butcher and runs forward to just touch his dragon there. He does kill the soul flares with the other unit. He fails, however, to kill a horde of scarecrows from a flank charge. He only did 15 wounds, 3s and 2s, which is extremely bad rolling. So, um, I guess we got lucky there. He after he kills him, he could reform. Looks like he has 3 wounds. So I guess I did 4. Maybe it was 3 wounds before the life leech happened. But um, yeah, so unfortunate luck here. That's never good. And then he does a few wounds to this guy. Nothing happens. This was a big whiff. He only had 2 hits and did 1 wound against the Tormentor troop. So the dice are really swinging at this point. It's an all or nothing type situation on both of our ends. So, but yeah, this is how board looks after I had moved here for turn 3, bottom of 3. So I did flank and countercharge with the horde into the werewolves here. I did hit these guys. His reforms with the whites were very limited again, so he did not want to get reared by this butcher, so he turned around 180 and I took the horde into the flank, and the butcher just went back in there. I charge, and then Dreadfiend has charged Morgoth, so we're shutting down Morgoth, not with the hex this turn, but with the punch to the face. Otherwise, we backed up the Soul Flares out of charge range. The Horror Riftweaver is still in charge range of the dragon, but not in charge range of the Horde. And we're just, boxing it in. We're trying to draw a battle line. It'd be great if we killed this werewolf unit, then we can turn everything to just face this side of the board. So combat, that's what we do. He was uninspired, so I forget how much, and he had some wounds on him to start. So we did enough, or we rolled one good nerve roll. Either way, we got him down and reformed in such a way. We just did a wound to this unit and disordered it. A few wounds to Morgoth, which is great. And then we got pretty damn lucky on this one. Like I said, just it's either an all or nothing, and my dice rolls, my nerve rolls especially, have been on point here so far. It looks like we did 3 wounds to the horde. We rolled the boxcars, got a waiver. Um, it when it rains, it pours. We not much to say. And when it really rains, it really pours. The horde of scarecrows come into the flank of wraiths and kill it. I don't even know how that really happens. I mean, yeah, we had dread there, so they're only a -16 effectively, but I have no Bane Chant. That unit was completely fresh. It wasn't or I think it might have been, that might have helped. Let me double check here. I think it might have been coming off the hill. Let's look. That's what it was. The sidestep took it up on the hill. Okay. A little bit more reasonable than 5s and then 4s, but still, that's 50 attacks on 5s and 4s. We're only looking at, what is that? Like 16 hits, 8 wounds. So we need an 8 twice, probably on average. We got lucky again. That's just the name of this game. It looks like just roll good nerve. Better players roll good nerve. And knowing that this unit's wavered, we can turn and not worry about withdraw, nimble flank shenanigans. So we're just looking at the only threatening units left over there. So Bruce comes in, he rear charges the Horror Riftweaver, and then front charges the Tormentor troop here. And then he runs Morgoth away, and obviously he kills those things and turns to face. But from here, I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall. We got him right where we want him in the kill zone. Everything that I have is going to be getting engaged with him, and we've got him locked down or knocked down to only 3 scoring units, 4, I guess, with this Wraith troop, but that one is probably not longed for this world. So this is bottom 4 for me. So we double charge the flank of the Wraith troop and countercharge the front. I do go ahead and just charge into the dragon with 1 unit, and then double charge the horde with the other stuff. The tormentors that were behind this horde decide, well, it's time to babysit a new buddy. So we fly over here. These werewolves are only limited and able to see so many things, so I didn't feel necessary to charge them this turn. But we did maneuver the Dreadfiend in such a way to threaten flanks and everything, and he can also Hex Morgoth this next turn, which he does successfully. And we kill the Trooper Race, turn to reform, and do some overruns. We kill the horde of werewolves, which again was pretty good on our part. Like, these guys are good for like 6 wounds. These guys might be good for only a couple more. We got dread. again, on average, I think I needed an 8 twice, and we got it. So just this is definitely one where the dice on my end were unforgiving to Bruce, and he was a real champ taking it. I would be frustrated if my opponent was rolling as good as I was at this point. It just feels like I can't miss, basically. So, but we even do 6 wounds to this dragon. Which, actually, I think we had lightning bolted the turn before, so he had a couple wounds on him. But either way, dragon's grounded, so that's the big thing. Charges. He counter charges into these guys. He goes into the horde of scarecrows. He wavers my soul flare, or not soul flare, wavers my horror rift weaver, which again, that's a lot more favorable of a kill than what I've been doing against him. He should be doing like 5 or 6 wounds to me. So he needs like a 7 twice, and yeah, just didn't work out for Bruce. So then I go ahead and just charge everything that I can into the werewolves, and then charge the soul flares into the dragon to just knock him down again this turn. The goal is kill the werewolves, then swarm the dragon the next turn, and try and pick up some of these individuals after that. Again, we hex Morgoth because that is what he is a way to take off the unit strength effectively. I got a horde of scarecrows over there with like 15 wounds, so I would want to preserve those guys for the dominate circle. And so after this turn, I kill the horde of werewolves, um, and then I ground the dragon again. But he's up to I think it was like 11 or 12 wounds. Miraculously, I didn't get an 8 twice again to kill him. But this is where Bruce effectively just kind of, said, I think that's enough. And we kind of walked through what would happen on the last turn because this was bottom of 5. He would just run Morgoth away, so I wouldn't get those points. But he said that I would get the dragon, I'd get the army standard bearers. So that's where we called the game, and I had 2 more turns to get back into the dominate circle. So I told him everything but the Dread Fiend would go to the circle. The Dread Fiend would keep hexing Morgoth for the rest of the game. So yeah, we get 2,100 victory points or out of this, and I believe Bruce killed around 700 or so. And then we have like 15 to 17 unit strength in the middle because 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. Um, which he'll kill one, so it would have been 16. But either way, it was a big win. I believe it was a 20 points, so not a blackjack. There's too much attrition loss for it to be a blackjack, but we did win the scenario as big as we could. So, um, this one was just one of those where the dice allowed the game to get out of control, and like I said on the turn that I didn't double check the range threat of those werewolves, it could have easily. I could have easily given Bruce a way into this game with that flank charge, and he would have been in a good position where maybe a Mind Screech could charge him, but his werewolves are behind my lines and wrecking havoc, and then it opens the door for the other units that were coming around the impassable here to come in. So yeah, it would have been a completely different game. So I don't feel great about it because obviously my dice were really the only factor that allowed me to get this win, at least as big as it is. If I didn't get the break when I needed it, it could have easily been a draw, or I could have potentially lost this game. So So a little rocky start, even though it's a 20 point victory in my favor. I don't feel too good about this win. Let's just say that. So, but like I said, Bruce was a champ. He handled my exceptional dice really well. Um, and he was a really cool guy to talk to as well. First time I've played him before. And he's out of the Florida area. He has a brother that I don't think his brother was able to make it this year, but I know he was in Omaha the year before. Um, so yeah, fun game, and that is how we're starting off Masters 2024 with some good dice rolls essentially. So um, that is what I have for you here. We are there were I think two or three blackjacks that happened in the first round, so we're sitting right up there in and then several 20s I think. So we're sitting at top five or so after a big win in the first round. So we're gonna, have our work cut out for us going into round two. So appreciate you guys for watching the first round, and I will catch you on the next one where we face off against Ed Fisk.